It's time to deep clean my Am3 ribber. That's a Knittax or a Knitking ribber, depending on where yours was sold. I have a friend that needs to do the same job, so I volunteered to go first so we can do the exploration, because after all, I have backup. The screws on the back, or the underside of the bed, must all come out because they go all the way through to secure the needle retainer bars on the top of the bed. Jack says the screws are very easy to get out. There's no torque on them at all.
As I suspected, these end braces here, the screws are longer. So you're going to need to keep them separate from all these other screws that you're taking out. This is a screwdriver that is a 3/16 width blade by a 3-inch shank. And this seems to work the best. I prefer this one, which is the same distance here, but it's got a longer shank on it, so I got a little more torque once I break it loose.
So just take all the screws out. Jack chose to take the last few screws out with the bed upright, supporting one end so he could reach down under. And here's what we discovered. Now the retaining bars will lift right off, and we can see that the plastic-like parts of the bed are sectional. They come apart. Here, both bars are off. The retaining bars seem to be identical to one another.
The front one, the lip goes out, and the back one, the lip goes back.
Okay, so the bars look the same,
Yeah.
but they're oriented in opposition to one another.
Yeah, mirror placement.
We expected to see something to retain under here, like a sponge strip or a piece of felt. Nada. Now you can see that I could use a little cleaning.
Yeah, this is exactly what we tell people about. Old grease hardened on there.
Which
all
this
yellow.
is an interesting case in point, because I received this machine as new old stock. And it's been used by me since then, but not miles and miles, not like some of my long-owned machines.
Yeah, I think that little X-tip wouldn't do it, but there you go. You can see me getting some of the grease off.
Right. So this was actually really easy to get into. Now I'm going to get out the products that LPS recommended for this machine and give it a bath. Take note of the ribber needle shape. They are supposed to be like that. Very unusual.
Yeah.
Mine are in okay condition. They could use a little cleaning. We gave them a good going over with steel wool and only used oil on the latches, the few of them that were really stiff. And these are ready to get back to work. The sinker wires will hold the sections together. You may be able to see that the needles take some effort for me to push to and fro, which is a sign that those grooves could really use cleaning.
Lubricating.
Well, I think cleaning too myself.
Yeah. Clean
I
first.
know that I, bad me, left this without a dust cover for a while. And I'm sure that all the dust in the world said, tee, this'll be fun.
Well, and it's exacerbated because of this hardened
Because
grease.
it's got old lubricant,
So
right?
any little piece of particulate matter is going to stick to
So
it.
I'm going to get a toothbrush and a toothpick and the products we use for cleaning. And
Well, again, we were sent 2 products to use on these not metal surfaces on these knitting machines. So we'll do one with one product and one with the other product and try to determine which one works the best on this machine. Yes. I'll take it out of one side.
yeah,
What I'm doing is gripping as close to the bed as I can and then pivoting that thing to raise it up just enough to separate the pieces. I'll do it one more time right here. Close as I can get, and there you go. Separated. What I did was, there's 2 ways to do it. When it straddles both plates, you can take it out of either one. This is an end plate, and this is what gets a flat mount section for these mounts right here. So since that's my end section, this one is holding both prongs on the end so that we know this is the next section up. This one's got one missing. This one's got one missing. The next one will have one missing.
So we'll be consistent across.
Right.
It isn't terrifically important, but it's going to make it easier to assemble in an orderly fashion.
Yes. Now we know the blank goes to the end. Blank goes to the end. When I get this put back, the blank will go to the end.
When we went to deep clean the main bed, we got in touch with the LPS company. Jack has a long history with them. He met them while working at the university in a technical department. They were the suppliers for some of the chemicals that his department used. All of their sales reps are, in fact, chemical engineers. They agreed to assist him when we wanted knitting machine suitable products, as well as those for the department he handled. He's been retired from there now, but has maintained enough of a relationship with LPS that when we explained what we were trying to clean and the nature of a Knittax machine, or in my case, a Knitking Am3, but they're the same machine, they recommended that we try two products. I'm cleaning half of the machine with T91, and Jack is cleaning the other half with BFX. Both products, in fact, worked very well. Neither one was unpleasant to handle. Neither one of us felt the need to use gloves for this. However, Jack found that BFX worked a little bit faster to dissolve the old grease, and he went behind me and was able to get off some stains that my T91 had left behind. I found that if I held the bed sections up to the light just right, I could see whether there was anything sticky down on the walls of each groove, and that's what you saw me taking care of just now. We found that both solutions worked more effectively if we sprayed everything first, then let it rest a minute, soaking in and getting its chemical groove on, and then began our scrubbing. We have found a few things that allow you to get into the channels without danger. Jack likes a small screwdriver. I've had success using an actual needle from the machine, but be aware that these needles are incredibly sharp. Do not use the hook part, and don't use it on yourself. As you know, I do a lot of machine knitting. It's not my first needle rodeo, but these are unusually sharp. A dental probe can work if it's not overly sharp. And I found that I have a very tiny crochet hook, one I would never crochet with. It would make me insane. But I bent it into a bent shape for another purpose entirely. And of course, with that little hook at the end, it's rounded slightly when you push it into the channel, so it can't gouge anything.
That's the after picture. This is the before picture. Yuck, icky poo.
This is our opportunity to remove all the old hardened lubricant. Now it's time to start reassembly. Jack is using his fingers and needle nose pliers to reseat every one of those wires into the little holes, and that hooks the bed back together as a single unit.
Just lift, line up the hole, and then you can press down with your finger and make sure that they lay flat together.
And that's what you're doing with the free ends of the wires.
Right. I'm just using the needle nose to grasp the wire out here so that I can bring it over and line it up with its hole and then press it down.
And so now everything's
all but
provisionally stuck together.
Yes, all but the last end piece. There's a slight ridge here that is not as prominent here, so they're not exactly mirror opposites. It's easy to tell because the wires go in here and there's no place to put a wire in there. So make sure that everything is lined up. And the reason is so that your screw holes will all match up all the way down the line.
So this entire plastic or something plastic-like group of bed segments is made stable with that steel piece.
Right. We're just going to call this polymerized sections. train goes down the track. If you'll notice, I have one end propped up because you have to be able to get under here to put the screws in. And so I need a little bit of elbow room for the first few screws.
And as I remember, I'm going to test myself, those pieces are the same as one another, but are placed into the assembly as mirror images.
That's right, because each one has a lip on it right there. Let me get my little screwdriver. Each one of these has a lip. The one in the front, the lip faces front, and the one in the back, the lip faces back. This is how we deal with this. We get a couple of straight pieces, and these will do. A couple of my Allen wrenches. We come right here and we line everything up through into the bed and do the same thing on the front.
So you're aligning the screw holes in the steel tray.
Right.
With the screw holes in the bed pieces.
Yes. And it may take you, you can look at the end and have some idea. You can lift it up and also do the same thing, but you have to slide it around until they're trapped so that you can then go through and start putting the screws.
And once you get 2 or 3 screws in, it'll get simpler, I would assume.
Yes, and then you can, once you get them started, then you can turn them over and do it.
It might be intuitive to think that the bed sections go all the way to the back of the steel tray, but they do not, do they?
No, they do not.
The front of the bed, where Jack's left index finger is, the front of those polymerized pieces
There you go.
aligns with the front edge of the steel tray.
Right. Yeah, they go almost to the front of the tray. Not quite. There's a little tiny lip. There's a plate that goes here.
Oh, so
On the bottom.
Obviously that will take the longer screws to go through the
Right.
plate plus the bed segments.
Exactly.
Once the beds are properly aligned, replace all of the screws down the center portion of the bed where the needles will go. In fact, our needles should already have been in position. We're going to get this right in a minute.
I put in 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, used my little short screwdriver to get underneath there and snug them a little bit. Now, the rest of them, I put these 2, this one, and now I'll do this one for you from underneath with my left hand holding up the bed. But once they're aligned, evidently they're machined well enough. You see, I can twist it in, and if you look close, you can see it coming
There
up
it
right
comes. Right.
And it appears as if I can go down the whole bed, and I'll only have to flip it over to put these base pieces on the ends. All right, we're just going to pretend that this one was problematic, the last one. Notice how I've got this end raised up on the banister. You could use a block of wood on the table, but now I'm able to rotate it over, and if it's problematic, and we're just pretending this one is, and a few of them have been, but you can roll it over, hold it in your left hand, and then you're ready to fly. Very carefully, I made sure that the one that came off of this end stayed on this end of the table, and the one that came off the other end stayed on the other end of the table. And it's very good that I did, because if you'll notice, these support stobs where it goes into the clamps is one-sided. They're again mirror opposites of one another, because one goes this way, one goes that way. So what I did was look it over like I always do. 2 alignment stobs, 2 alignment holes, and there's only one way it can go on. If you looked at your original picture or film and saw that this was at the front of the machine, there's only one way each one will fit on there.
The back retaining strip may be installed first, then the needles. The front one must not go ahead of the needles. Guess how we found that out? We knew it. We just were so excited about getting those metal strips back on. But it won't do you a bit of good without the needles. Here we're putting in the needles first. Then we'll insert the back metal strip, then the front one. This worked, but it would be simpler just to put in the back strip, then the needles, then the front strip.
You can leave this back bar in to hold the bed sections and the end plates in place. You only must take this bar off to change a needle. And it's still a dozen screws, but it's not impossible.
Not that big a deal. And back to work we go. We have not yet lubricated it. You can hear that it could use it, but it's working great.